Well, you probably remember the photo of little Alan Kurdi. His body, his little T-shirt, his little sandals was lifeless on a beach after a disastrous night for his family. They were fleeing the war in Syria in search of safety. But for Tima Kurdi, the boy on the beach was not just a photo. This was her 2-year-old nephew. Alan drowned along with his brother and his mother. Only Dad survived. His father is Tima Kurdi's brother. And today, Kurdi is taking readers deeper into this story, her story, into her childhood in Syria and her tight-knit family, unpacking for us the events that led up to that horrible day. Her book is called The Boy on the Beach, and she joins us in studio this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to meet you in person. I've seen your face so much on this story in the last couple of years. You know, we see a lot of images of Syria, war images, things in rubble, people fleeing, an unsafe environment. Very different from the Syria you knew growing up. Take us into that Syria.
You know, growing up in Syria, I just want the world to see that our people and country was so beautiful and peaceful. Our neighbor, they were in a different religion, Christian, Muslim, Sunni, Shia, name any kind of religion. We all live together, respect each other. So the life in Syria, the smell of the jasmine on the street, you walk everywhere. That smell, it touched my heart, and I always want to remember that smell because it's so peaceful, so beautiful.
It was such a beautiful and historic city. You came to Canada in the 1990s. You spent a lot of time trying to then sponsor your brother to come. But you describe in the book about the process, about just you were trying to follow all the rules, you were trying to go through the correct protocols, and it just wasn't working. What was wrong?
The lack of, IDs the government here in Canada required from the refugees. And that was very difficult that the ID they were asking, valid passport, and majority of the Syrian really didn't even have a passport. So I was trying very, very hard, and it was very tough for me that only one piece of ID that would recognize the person to be human. And it was not available. So what can you do to that?
After that image of little Alan went around the world, people started to dig into your story a little bit more. You talked about how you sent Abdullah, Alan's father, $5,000 for them to be able to make that journey. There was some criticism at the time that money had gone to a smuggler. But give us an understanding of the chaos that was happening and why that was the better option.
Because when I visited them in 2014, it was not just about my family. I saw thousands of people. I heard their story, their struggle. Children not going to school. They have to be forced to go and work. And, it was lots of struggling over there. So, if you work today, you feed your family, which is basic food. So at the end, with many, many years, maybe 2 to 3 years, it was struggling and there is no hope. And many Syrian, all of a sudden, they want to go, the only option for their own family, the children, is to go to Europe. So my family was not the only people who were doing it. So after here, Canada, I give up hope that there is no way they can even come to Canada. And I'm seeing them continue to struggle there. And mostly the children are going to school. So I said to them, this is the only option for the children. And I did it.
It speaks to the desperation of the situation there. You describe in your book that you've kept every text between you and your brother back and forth just before he made the journey, before they were about to depart. You also describe feeling guilty about that. Where does that come from?
I was trying to help my family. I know they know that. Even Rihanna, before she died, she was very happy when I sent the money. But that guilt, in my heart, I will take it to my grave that I provide them the win to die. If I didn't send the money, they cannot afford to take that dangerous journey. But I did. And it's very hard for me to forget about it. That's the guilt. It's providing the money to them.
Alan's mom, his brother, didn't make it, but Abdullah did. Where is your brother today?
He's in Kurdistan, Arbil. Still grieving. You know, he has nightmares. Always that nightmare. He wake up crying, take him back to the water. He always wake up yelling, breathe, breathe, don't die, don't die. So I hope my brother will heal and move on in his life, but I could never understand how he can really forget. So he's traumatized and he needs help. And my help for him, it's actually to help him to deliver, to help the children at refugee camp so he can give them what he couldn't do to his own children.
Tima, when you talk to your brother now and you talk about the guilt that you've shared a bit with us, what does he say to you?
He will say, you are the best sister in the world. You were trying to help us. And don't ever feel that way. You're not the person who did this. It's, we believe in fate. And it's happened. And probably the boy on the beach, it has to happen. So we wake up the world and say, enough is enough, enough suffering.
Tima, thank you for coming to Your Morning and sharing the story in your book called The Boy on the Beach. Good to speak with you in person.
Thank you for having me.
Your Morning will be right back.